From powerful storms, tornadoes, even hurricanes, you always need to be prepared. I mean, this could have happened in your apartment complex with the tree on top of the car. What happens after the storm has passed and cleanup begins? One of the first things you need to do is, of course, make sure you're safe and then call your insurance company. It may be a little confusing to know what's covered by insurance and what isn't. So here with us today is Christopher Cook of Alliance Insurance Services, talking about all things insurance, including filing claims due to whatever kind of damage you got. So he's taking your insurance related questions. You can text those questions to the number that's on your screen. That's 336-379-5775. In case of wondering what the real answer is, go ahead and text in your question and you're going to get it answered live on TV. All right, so Christopher Cook, let's first start at this. When and how should we file an insurance claim?
Sure. How is depending on the carrier, but typically I like to suggest to folks to call in to their agency, make sure it's a claim that would be covered and worth submitting, and then go through the process that the carrier has. Most folks will take a verbal claim. Everyone's going to want to talk to you eventually, so carriers are starting to allow you to submit a claim on an app or on their website. But no matter what, an adjuster wants to speak to a human being to hear your side of the story, whether it's home or auto or whatever it might be.
And it's always interesting to me because, you know that something happened to your house, let's say, okay? Like I know when I had hail damage, but they asked specifically, what was the date of the hail damage? Do you know what time or whatever, that kind of stuff? And you really do need to kind of know those things.
Yeah, it requires documentation, right? And oftentimes, especially in a storm-related thing, you don't know exactly the date of the claim when you're calling in, but you need to know the date of that. And insurance carriers are going to look up with the National Weather Service, was there a lightning strike in this area on this date? They're going to corroborate, your story with national data.
Okay. All right. So one of the most common questions that we always hear is who's responsible for tree damage, especially if the tree came from your neighbor's yard. And we just showed video of a car that was parked in an apartment complex and there was a tree on the car.
In that instance, it's the car insurance policy that's going to pay for that claim. And basically, whoever's stuff was damaged. Trees are part of nature. Mother Nature, I guess, is the one responsible, but none of us can sue Mother Nature and ask for her to pay for the damages that happened. So whoever's stuff is messed up, for a simpler explanation, is who needs to file the insurance claim.
And I know a lot of people out there are saying, okay, but that's not fair because it's not my fault. It wasn't my tree.
Yeah, and again, Mother Nature, it's not my fault when a deer runs out either, but I can't sue Bambi or her mother. Like, it's unfortunate, but no one promised us a perfect life, and there's not always someone to blame. That's why we buy insurance for unfortunate incidents.
All right, so if your property is damaged, whether that's your house or your car, then you're filing the insurance. All right, so what about hail damage to your home and to your cars? Is hail damage covered?
Hail damage is covered on all homeowners policies in your viewing area. There's some interesting exclusions as we get closer and closer to the coast that we could go into if the viewers wanted to. And then on an automobile, hail damage is covered under comprehensive coverage. And we talk about this often, but you have to have liability insurance to legally drive in our state. Physical damage or comprehensive is what you need for the hail damage to be covered.
Okay, and so that is kind of like a key thing because comprehensive coverage is not something that everybody has to have. And so if you don't have it, that means you're going to kind of pay out of pocket.
That's right. And on an older vehicle, that's perfectly fine, but you just need to know you're giving up coverage if you choose not to buy that.
Okay, so let's now talk about flooding because today is supposed to be like the first or the second wettest day of the year. So some low-lying areas are going to be looking at that. When it comes to flooding, let's talk about home and car.
Again, comprehensive coverage makes it easy on the car insurance side. Comprehensive does cover flooding to an automobile. And so just another reason to make sure you buy comprehensive and collision coverage on your automobile policy. Flooding is specifically excluded on most homeowners policies in our state and across the country, as a matter of fact. You have to buy a separate flood insurance policy to have flood coverage.
And that is just kind of like standard across the board. It's not like there are no like standard homeowners policies that include that flooding.
Well, they're starting to be. This is a supply and demand kind of thing, but some insurance companies are starting to offer a flood endorsement where you can buy it as part of your homeowner's policy. You have to be in a super low risk area for them to offer that right now. In much of North Carolina is in a low risk area. But it is starting to be an option. But a standard contract offers no flood in any form or fashion.
And so there's different kinds of floods, right? There's the floods that come from outside your house, and then there's floods that come from inside your house. So let's say your toilet overflows because some kid just threw a toy down in there.
Yeah, technically, that's not a flood. Flood has a definition that's from rising rainwater and so on and so forth. But yes, water damage inside your house from a ruptured pipe or an overflowing toilet or an overflowing washing machine, which unfortunately a great customer of mine had recently. That's just interior water damage, and your homeowner's policy does cover that.
Okay, and I like when you say does cover that because there's always that caveat of like if there's been something like leaking in your house for a while and it's caused damage over like a couple of months and you just haven't like seen it or taken care of it.
Yeah, sudden and accidental is what insurance policies pay for. Long, undiscovered wear and tear maintenance issues are specifically excluded as well. And I know that creates great frustration for consumers from time to time. But it's sudden and accidental. And so if something had time to grow mold, it wasn't sudden. And so, that creates a frustration for us.
For sure. Okay. All right. I've got a couple of questions here. We're going to start taking those as soon as we get back from the break. You can text in your question 336-379-5775. We'll be right back.